Hey, what's up, you guys? So, last year, around June or July, there was this big YouTuber. Her name is Superwoman. She posted a video in which she, based off a comment, decided to produce this video talking about a geography class for racist people. And in it, she was annoyed by how, based on her appearance, someone called her a Muslim and a bunch of other things. And basically, hey, John, she was irritated over that. And then I stumbled upon this video because I saw that people had made replies to this video and I didn't know who this girl was, so I decided to check her out. And I'm like, okay, the some of the girls' videos are actually okay. I watched like two of them just to get to know her a little beforehand before diving into this video. And then I saw the replies to her video, like video responses, and I was actually pretty pleased with the video responses she was getting because I could see where people are coming from, and I also see what she was trying to do. But I guess her way of going about it wasn't the best. But then again, when you're a huge star like that, I feel like you just want to put content out there and that's it. And hey, Haribad gamer, I see you. But anyways, so that when I watched it back in March or so, it gave me the idea for this video. So I am going to talk about what I think she was trying to do, but delivered it a little bit differently. And this is also coming from my personal experience. And of course, one question that I get so warily often is, where are you from? What's that accent from? Where's your name from? Blah, blah, blah. For starters, my name, as you can hopefully probably imagine, is definitely a nickname for me to be active online. So, of course, it's not going to be a local name, a common name, or anything. It's just one day I decided that I wanted to have a cool name because I was participating on online stuff and I didn't want to use my real name. So I said, what is a name that sounds cool? I have always had a thing for Toyotas, and I happen to have a thing for Camrys. First are Corollas, then Camrys, then Avalons. So I said, I would love for my name to have a Camry sounding name. So I just went to the almighty alphabet and I grabbed a letter that I felt I could identify with. And of course, there is an X somewhere in my real name, but we ain't gonna talk about that. So, anyways, so I decided to do that and alter that name to call myself Zamri online. And I like it. I dig it. I feel it's pretty unique. I cannot say that I have seen anyone else calling themselves Zamri, and I picked this name back in 2012. So if you go to my channel and you address me as Zamri, believing that that's my legit name, it is not my legit name. So just to get that out of the way. And when it comes to my accent, I know I sound different, but what can I say? I was raised by many people in many places, and all of these many people had different backgrounds. So I guess the way that I produce sounds, of course, is going to vary and differ. And honestly, I'm someone who I love escapism. So although I keep a consistent accent, I like to imitate other people's accents, or not necessarily their accents, but more the way they express things. Like my best friend, every single day I mess with this living, breathing human being about the way he says things. So I'm always saying, I admire you. I'm not trying to like mock you or anything. It's just that you have a unique way of expressing yourself. So I am going to try to pretend to be you. That's what you do when you admire someone. You pick things about them that you love and you apply them and imitate them and just have fun with it. And then my mom has a particularly thick accent. So sometimes when she's ranting, I just bust out laughing and I feel bad because she's in the middle of a really serious story and I cannot hold it together. And then she asks me, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "It's just the way you say things. I cannot handle it." So, that doesn't help me. And I'm one of those people who it's so easy to make me laugh. It's pitiful. But, anyways, and then my dad also has his own personal thick accent going on, and he's a cop, so of course he's gonna have all kinds of voices. He's also a musician, so he can also alter his voice into many different things as well. So, the people who surround me all have their own personalities, their own uniqueness, and it's a pretty diverse group. What can I say? So I guess that makes it very easy for me to just not have a definitive way of sounding. So just to get that out of the way. And then an irritating aspect of the "where are you from" question is that, first of all, if I'm going to answer the question on the first round and you're not going to believe me, why are you asking? Why do you insist? Like, people for some reason don't want to believe me when I say that I'm just a plain old American. People for some reason don't want to believe me that, the United States is where I'm from, nowhere else. People really want to hear me for some reason be Indian, say that I'm Indian, or people really want for me to, when I say that I understand some Spanish and that I can speak some of it and read some of it, they really want to hear me sound very like Spanish dominated and like I really dominate that language. I'm like, no, I just so happen to know it because I had a pretty decent exposure to it and I went to school and I practiced it a lot. And where I grew up, it was spoken with some considerable frequency, but I was always exposed to more English than anything. But I had a time where I was grasping Spanish a little bit better, but in the end, English is what really stuck to me because there's definitely fewer grammatical rules in English, fewer grammar rules, and that is just a huge advantage. So that's why if I'm being confronted in person about it, like if someone asks me and I'm in public, where are you from, this and that, and then I say my hometown, I'm like, I don't want to be going around explaining that because it's just not your business. I shouldn't have to exist explaining myself, explaining the culture that you want to see me have, explaining the language that you really want to hear me speak badly. I don't understand why people really have these generalizations and they want to be correct about it. So it's annoying because I believe, not to brag or anything, but I believe that I'm a badass person to sit and have a talk with. I may be limited in some of my knowledge. I may have very poor opinions on some things, but if there's something that I am confident about, it's my opinion, my independent way of thinking, and how I voice it and how I present myself. If you do not like me upon interacting with me just once, you're never going to like me because I'm pretty consistent. And that is okay. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be offended. I'm not meant to be liked by everybody. So don't try to manipulate me into trying hard to impress you, to be your friend or something. I don't care. I'm sorry. I just don't care because what you are deciding to skip out on, someone else is going to appreciate. All right. So, there's going to be people in the planet who find me cool, people in the planet who find me annoying, and all that. That's excellent. But whatever you do, don't touch me. That's the only time we're going to have problems. But, anyways, So when it comes to people like this, who have an annoyance about being asked where you're from, just be in their place for a second. You live your entire life, and that is the question that you get day after day after day after day. And you can see it in people's faces. It's like they just look at you. And God forbid if you work somewhere where you have a name tag, they're just looking at your motherfucking name tag. And they're like, uh, how do you say your name? Where is that from? And is that from name the country and this and that, and then you see the look of frustration understandably in the person's face because that's all they hear every single day of their lives. Why should they need to be explaining themselves all the time? Like for me personally, when that happens to me, I'm like, I can talk about science, I can talk about politics a little bit. I believe that I have some good life advice to give. I can be very supportive. I believe I have a pretty good sense of humor. I can do so many things, but the thing that you want to approach me with and talk to me about is the goddamn origin that you really want to see me belong to, or correspond to. Just why? Think about how many experiences, great experiences with humans, you're probably missing out on because your curiosity for obtaining information and learning about nothing exceeds your ability to focus on people for who they are. It's like, I get it. It's cool to be curious, but for me personally, if I hear someone with a thick accent or who looks different, I'm never curious about where the hell they're from. Trust me. Like, I have only asked where someone is from once in my life, and that was in school because I was wondering if this person happened to speak French because I knew someone who spoke French and their way of enunciating sounded French ish. So I was like, is there any chance that you are from a French speaking country? Because I know someone who's fluent in French and they could help you. And then the person said yes. So I'm like, fantastic. I happened to land that right. But that was the only time in my life that I asked someone where they're from. And it's not because for my personal gain, personal curiosity, or anything, because it doesn't help me gain anything in life. It was, I sensed that I could supply this person with the means and a resource for them to get aid. That's it. But when people feel this feel compelled to just ask that and they're like, I'm just curious. Why are you curious? How is that information going to change your life? And I guess the reason I have this severe opinion about it is because I understand how annoying it is. And also, unfortunately, some people do not always have the best of intentions with that question. It's like sometimes the treatment that a person receives for some reason needs to be different. It's either patronizing or condescending, and the person is not even asking for that, So I just would urge everybody to. It's difficult to say be considerate because this person may be perfectly chill talking about where they're from. But I would say try to imagine yourself being bugged about something. Um, Especially like if you have a disability, I have heard that before. It's like, what happened? And it's like you may be born with it, or you have no control over it, and this is all that you get approached for, and many other questions for that matter. It's annoying. It really is. It's especially if you're an introverted person. If you happen to be asking an introverted person, the last thing in this person's mind is socializing, and on top of socializing, discussing their personal business. you know I'm someone who believes in never asking personal questions. I never ask if you're married. I never ask if you're in school. I never ask where you live. I never ask if you're with your parents. I never ask any personal questions. unless somehow it becomes relevant. Because I wouldn't like people to be all up in my business. I hate that. So when I sit here and I share a story that's rather personal, it's because I feel comfortable discussing it to a certain extent. But it's not like that is my favorite topic to discuss, you know? So, anyways, you guys, that's really all that I have to say on this matter. I'm going to now look at what you guys have been saying. But yeah, it's annoying, trust me, because the person you're asking probably would love to be all bubbly and excited about other things, but you're just bugging a person about something that they're not interested in, something that's incidental, like your place of birth, as someone once told me. It's just incidental. It has nothing to do with who you are on some cases. Some people, their original culture really defines them, but for some people, it doesn't. You know, like when I think about myself, I think about my hometown and I'm like, what do I owe it? And I'm like, not a whole lot of who I am presently. That's just the truth. I mean, life experiences in places away from home is what taught me most of my most valuable lessons. Okay, it's live. Yes, I am live. I wonder how long it'll take for someone in the comments to completely miss the point. I'm here for it. Hey there, beautiful. Hi, hello there. Good to see you. I love your videos. Thanks so much. I have an accent too. Who doesn't have an accent? I think it doesn't matter what kind of accent you have. I think what's important is your clarity. And some people don't have that. I do not sound standard American either. I sound like I'm from somewhere else. Anyone who isn't typical of the area they live in are going to be asked those questions. I have one of my own, as you know, having to explain myself every time you meet anyone is going to be grading. You're pretty. Thanks so much. I get asked where I'm from. I say Texas. Then they ask where my ancestor came from. Yes, that too. I meant to say that a few moments ago. They immediately go like, "Oh, where's your family from?" This and that, and I'm like, "Do I have to explain my mixed, apparent, obvious mixed heritage?" Okay, so mom's from north, dad's from south. Back in the good old days when invasions were happening, a lot of mixing took place. So there's some French, definitely some British somewhere, some Italian, some African, some native. Do you really want for me to dissect those details? Not even I am 100% sure as to what percentage is more present than what in my family, especially the minority details, because, you know, you guys know what happened. Like, history is not that difficult to understand. It's obvious that some particular cultures were retained and promoted more, and minority details got lost deliberately. So, I mean, get over yourself. It's all right to look and sound different. You don't need to question it and understand it and get on people's business. Just roll with your life. No one asks you where you're from. Cool. Good for you. But don't go around bugging other people about it. I explained that my ancestors arrived to America on Morro Bay in the 15th century, selling opium and whores. Old blood we are. I'm trying to keep it together, but that's hilarious. My family keeps up with our history. In the old days, it was illegal for Asian to have normal jobs. That's why my ancestors were shady. True. True. Yeah, I can totally see that. You have a valid point there. Just a funny way of saying it. Being atypical pretty much dooms you to a life of these questions. I eventually learned to tune the questions out. Yes, that's exactly what I do. I learned to ignore ignorance. Or just have fun giving them different answers each time, but they never went away. I'm glad that you mentioned that because you remind me of one of my favorite daily habits, which is some days I just wake up feeling like I'm from another country. So I try to remember the last place someone guessed I was from, and that's what I say. So people have told me that I am British. People have told me that I am French. People have told me that I am Brazilian. People really love to say that I'm Brazilian. But, to give you guys credit, maybe you guys pick up on my energy of always having wanted to learn Portuguese. So maybe that's what you're picking up. But Portugal's Portuguese is definitely different from Brazilian Portuguese, or so I hear. Um, but yeah, I have also said that I'm from Mauritania. I have also said that I'm Egyptian. I have definitely said that I'm Indian. I have also definitely said that I am from South Africa. I have also been Cuban. I have also been Hawaiian. And the list goes on. So sometimes, depending on what mood I'm in and how I wake up feeling, I'm like, let's see, I'm gonna have a lot of baguettes today, so let me Frenchify myself or something crazy. Which, if you say any of those that I mentioned earlier, you're not wrong. It flows in my veins through my blood somewhere, but it's not entirely accurate. That was a long time ago. I'm pretty sure that most of my European features are just being washed away because the later the generation and the more mixing that takes place, the less likely it is for certain traits to appear. So, of course, I'm not going to look pale and blue eyed and blonde like my great grandfather. Of course not. So, anyways, my accent is thick. I sound like I'm from another country, even though I was born, bred, and raised in the USA. I was raised by immigrants and worked around other people from different cultures. There you go. Okay, so I'm caught up with the comments. So yeah, you guys, that's pretty much all that I have to say. I cannot really think of anything else that I want to add, but yeah, I understand why people get irritated. It is exhausting, whether you are actually foreign or whether you are not. It's an annoying question because I guess people wouldn't have an attitude about it if it wasn't so frequent, but seriously, guys, try to make another human's experience in the planet as comfortable and pleasant as possible. Try to consider that sometimes. Like some people are really, really, really tall, and I bet that they get the question of "Did you play basketball?" a lot. For some reason, you if you're tall, you're associated with having played basketball, which makes sense. Big guys are the ones who play it in the major leagues, but it's annoying. It's just annoying. It's annoying. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.